And I constantly get the question, how do I juggle a house in Maryland, a house in Tennessee, my business, plus all my personal responsibilities and my father's personal responsibilities? I'm currently at my house in South Carolina. I usually am in Maryland for exercising, but because of my father passing away, I had to come down here to South Carolina to take care of some things. And I constantly get the question, how do I juggle a house in Maryland, a house in Tennessee, my business, plus all my personal responsibilities and my father's personal responsibilities? I will tell you how I do it, not by doing what you're told. You've been programmed to think, take it easy, wait around for a cure or a miracle. You can't wait around. If I waited around, I would still be in a wheelchair. I would still be using a walker, and I would still be using walking sticks because I am not lazy. And at that time, when I was in a wheelchair, for example, my father wanted me to change the litter box or clean the litter box. And I told him, I can't. He said, yeah, you can. You will figure it out. Lo and behold, I figured out. I found a way to clean the litter box, even though I was in a wheelchair. If to fast forward, when I was using a walker and walking sticks, we had like 3 or 4 stairs going up into the house, and there's no railings. So I told my father at that time, I really need railings. And my father said, no, you don't. You'll figure out a way to make it work. And they forced me to use the stairs properly with caution, but use the stairs because by not having railing, and if you fell, you would get punctured because there was like a cut bush, and all that was left of that bush was its trunk, and basically it was so sharp I would have been punctured. So it forced me to go down the stairs because I wanted to go outside and walk. And it really forced me to figure out how to go down the stairs, even though I could not walk down the stairs. I really couldn't. But this all goes back to be given the right guidance and being motivated. I was determined not to be wheelchair bound, like so many people are being told to be wheelchair bound. You can't be wheelchair bound. I know they say it, but you you can get out of a wheelchair, I promise. And to fast forward, when I began walking, my father and I took a trip to a certain organization, and to make a very, very long story short, my father said, oh, they're just another money grab. And at the time I said, no, they're not. Then I started to do my research, and then I realized, oh, they are a big money grab. They want to keep you or inhibit you from growing because they will make more money off of you. And a lot of people will say, no, you don't know that. If you do your research, I promise you will find out. Now, this certain organization does really, really good things, like the R&D, searching for cures, getting you started, a sense of community, things like that. They're really, really good. But what happens if a cure doesn't come around for 20, 30 years? Are you supposed to just sit there and wait? No, that's where we come in. Now, the name of my company is called Living with Ataxia, but it's for anyone. It's for anyone with a neurological condition, whether it be MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, any of them. We help and have the secret for all of them, how to do everything. Now, it's going to save you lots of trial and error because I went years not knowing the proper exercises. No, I know the proper diet. Yes, I have stem cells, but these are completely different stem cells. These are stem cells done by our three, but at their Mexico clinic. These are not their US stem cells. In the US, they pretty much are handcuffed or have their hands tied behind the back, and they can't give you the proper stem cells. And I know for a fact, R3, for example, R3 stem cell, they have the right stem cells. Yes, it was a gamble because, for example, that certain organization which called my dad and said, please do not allow him to get stem cells. But something was telling me, the Lord was telling me I had to get stem cells. So I did my research. I came across R3. We discussed it, and because it was never done for people with ataxia at the time, they weren't very sure. They said it could work, it could not work. So yes, it was a gamble on my part. A gamble that hugely paid off. So, what happens if you don't have the money for some sort? That is fine. We offer many, many packages. If you want our packages, visit our Living with Ataxia website. And again, that's not just for people with ataxia, it's for any neurological condition. And if you don't have a neurological disorder, it's good for those people too. Danny and I just so happen to have the answers for you. And everything is based on the correct diet, the right hydration, the exercises that we plan out. Yes, the stem cells help. By all means, they help the most, but not everyone can afford it. But what people can do is change the way they eat and what they drink. Now, this is water, and our clients know what kind of water this is. But this is a special kind of water. Besides the diet, exercise, and stem cells, this is probably the most underrated item that we tell our clients. Within probably 6 months to a year, you will begin to notice differences just by drinking this water. That doesn't mean you can eat whatever you want. You don't have to exercise. It all comes together. You have to believe that. Again, it all comes down to motivation to stop being lazy. Now, the only time you will ever see me in the front of the TV is when I'm watching the Redskins, because I'm a huge Redskins fan. Watching my favorite show, and my favorite show right now is Landman, or I'm watching the motocross or supercross race. Besides that, you will never catch me in front of the TV. I'm constantly moving, and that's how I'm able to juggle the house in Maryland, the house in South Carolina, my personal responsibilities, and my father's responsibilities, and run my own company. And I constantly get asked, people say, I don't know how you're doing this. It all comes down to stop being a couch potato and prioritize your time. I promise it works. And when it comes to neurological conditions, eating the right diet, the correct exercises, of course, the stem cells, and hydrating properly, it goes a long way. I promise. And I know you're probably wondering, why does he only have eggs in front of you? Right now, I'm on the egg fast, so all I eat is eggs. I have 18 eggs a day. And the reason I do that is because it's very good for the brain and nervous system, and allows for your body to become more fat adaptive. Meaning, right now, your body is using carbohydrates or sugar for energy. This is very bad for the nervous system. You need to become more fat adaptive, to where your body runs on fat for energy instead of carbohydrates. This process is called ketosis. When you first go through ketosis, you might feel a little fatigue, but that is just your body going through an alteration. It is moving from carbohydrates to fat for its energy source. And this is the main step. I always tell people, the right diet, and the right hydration is where you want to begin. After all that, then go into exercise. And if you want to take it to another level, get the stem cells from R3. But yes, the stem cells alone will help. But with everything combined, they help so much more. But I promise, if I would have listened to the so-called experts, I would still be in the wheelchair. And people might say or think, well, I never have seen you in a wheelchair or walker. Well, at the time, I did not know this was a possibility. I wasn't recording everything that I am now. But now I realize I can help people. We can help people. With Danny being my business partner, him, he's acting as a president, health and rehab advisor to living with ataxia, and myself is a person living with ataxia. And I am also the CEO of the company. And we have gone through trial and error. What worked, what doesn't work. This is for you to not make the same mistakes as me. Like I previously mentioned in a previous video, if I had ataxia and had to start all over again, I would start with a carnivore diet. That, hands down, is the best thing you can do with your body, for your body. Because I don't have footage of me being in a wheelchair or using a walker, I am going to have multiple people videotape saying I was in a wheelchair. If they have any pictures, they're more welcome to share them. But I was so bad off, I couldn't do this. I could not pick up a utensil. My father had to feed me, etc. And no one knew at the time what was wrong with me. I went a year, literally a year and a half, without anyone knowing what was wrong with me. Because I was not getting better as quickly as I would like, as quickly as my father would like. That's when my father took me to Georgetown University Hospital. And literally, right when they saw me, they knew, oh, he definitely has ataxia. So, just to confirm, they did all their tests and the MRIs and so on and so forth. And yeah, I definitely, without a doubt, had ataxia. So I finally got diagnosed, and that's pretty much when my journey began. I got diagnosed in November of 2022 and began working out or exercising with Danny in January of 2023. And I exercised. I was supposed to remain in a wheelchair. And my neurologist at the time said, you will never, ever get out of a wheelchair. I did. I went and saw a new neurologist who's a lot better. She was guiding me through, and eventually I got so well off. She pretty much said, whatever you're doing is working. I'm just gonna monitor you. And doctors know nothing about nutrition. Within med school, they pretty much brush over nutrition, and that by far is one of the biggest contributors of making yourself better. Yeah, I promise you can make yourself better. People want the quick fix. It doesn't work like that. It's one of those things that will happen. It just happens over time. Again, why wait for cure that may or may not happen? And all due respect, the FDA and everything, they make tons of money by not curing you. So by you waiting on a cure, you're going to be waiting a lifetime when you could be doing something now. This is why we had the company, because we know we can help people with neurological disorders. We know that you have been given completely wrong information. And I know what you're going to think. My doctor doesn't want that, or doesn't want me eating like, so whatever the case may be. Well, this is because they go off of financial gains. We are not going off financial gains. We want to help as many people as possible. And just for example, I take about 15 or 20 grams of creatine a day. If you talk to your expert, they'll say, oh, supplements don't help. They really do. Creatine alone will do wonders. They do many things. For example, they treat traumatic brain injuries from like car accidents with creatine. Because most people think creatine is just for muscles. Yes, it's for that. I do use creatine, but I use creatine for the brain and nervous system. It does remarkable things. And yes, when you use your standard amount of creatine, which is like 5 grams, which is where you want to begin. But when it comes to the nervous system and brain, you want to up that to at least 15. So again, it all comes down, especially the way we eat, exercising, the hydration, and getting the stem cells from R3. And I know not everyone can afford the stem cells. What you can afford is the proper human diet, the exercising, and drinking. That does not cost you any more money. And they say, oh, carnivore costs too much. No, it doesn't. That is another myth. It doesn't. I usually eat once a day because on the carnivore diet, this food is more bioavailable to you, meaning your body knows what to do with it. When you have your standard American diet with your salad, your lunch meat, your body doesn't know what to do with it. And not to be rude, this is why you use the bathroom. It's called waste. It's called waste for a reason. When you're on the carnivore diet, your body knows what to do with all the food. You'll have limited waste. That doesn't mean you're eating badly. It means your body knows what to do with it. It doesn't know what to do with all the stuff that we put in our system. This is why people are severely obese and there's so many diseases. This is because they're not eating properly. And I always preach on the foundation. You want to lay your foundation first. And the good foundation is eating and hydrating properly. And then move into other things. But you must lay a good foundation first. Because if you exercise but constantly eat pizza, you're only gonna get so far with exercising. You have to fuel your body properly. And also, you might be saying, oh, that's a lot of eggs. Aren't you worried about cholesterol? Again, this is another myth. Your brain, your nervous system needs cholesterol. There's more harm done by trying to lower your cholesterol than anything. Now, if your cholesterol is high by eating cakes and honey buns, yeah, you might have that case. But by eating eggs, red meat, fish, butter, stuff like that, and your cholesterol is high, that is completely fine. Your brain loves cholesterol. It needs cholesterol. Your body needs cholesterol. Your body runs on cholesterol. If you don't have cholesterol in your diet or it's been significantly lowered, you will begin to have problems and hormone problems. And this can cause a whole host of problems. So again, you want to lay a good foundation with eating your diet, hydrating, then move into exercising, and then move in, if possible, and get to stem cells. Now, with our company, we figured out exactly what people do so you don't run into issues that I ran into to save you time and error, because you could spend years trying to figure what's right. I've already figured out what's right, and this goes back to Danny always pushing me in the right direction. He pushes me in the right direction. I do my research, and altogether, this is what you get. It turns out we definitely, by 100%, by all means, have the correct approach. And I know you're told to play it safe, don't do anything. Again, this does not work. Please, please do not be lazy. You'll be amazed what the human body can do with the proper guidance which we offer, the proper nutrition, hydration. They say stem cells do not work. The stem cells in the US might not work, but stem cells are brought 100% work. If you have any questions, please email them to me. I'll put our email and all the links in the description. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It helps us out. 90% of people watch our videos, but no one is subscribed. Please subscribe. It's easy and helps us out. Thank you.